Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, today we're jumping into something that trips up loads of people buying a new TV, QLED versus Crystal UHD. We've looked at the sources, and the mission is pretty straightforward. Figure out which of these Samsung screens fits your wallet and, how you actually watch TV fast, no getting lost in jargon.
Yeah, and what's interesting from the material is how clearly Samsung positions these. Crystal UHD or CUHD, that's their entry point for 4K. You're getting ultra high definition, so good picture, decent resolution, but it's definitely the budget-friendly option.
Right.
QLED, though, that's pitched as the premium step up. Still 4K, but it's supposed to be, well, better.
Okay, so if they're both 4K, that's the big question, isn't it? Why the sometimes huge difference in picture? And the price, obviously. The sources seem to point to one tiny thing causing this big leap. They call it the quantum dot difference. What actually is that? CUHD is standard LED backlighting, right?
Basically, yes. QLED takes that standard LED setup and adds something crucial. A layer of these microscopic crystals, quantum dots. They sit between the backlight and the actual screen layers. And instead of just filtering white light like older tech, these dots emit their own very pure, specific colors when light hits them.
Ah, okay, so it's not just making the light brighter, it's making the color itself cleaner, purer.
Exactly. Pure is a great word for it. That's why you hear QLED colors pop. You're getting, really vibrant reds, much deeper blues, skin tones look more natural. The standard COHD panel, because it filters light, it just can't hit that same level of color saturation or volume. Those quantum dots really change the game for color accuracy.
Gotcha. But it's not just color, is it? The other thing everyone talks about with QLED is brightness. Like, really bright.
Yeah.
How does that actually help someone watching TV at home? Does it just mean you need sunglasses?
Well, maybe not sunglasses, but it makes a difference in a couple of key ways. First, the obvious one. If you've got a really bright, sunny living room, QLED's higher peak brightness can push through that ambient light much better. The picture doesn't look washed out.
Okay, makes sense. Glare killer. What's the second thing?
HDR, high dynamic range. That's where the brightness really shines, literally.
Right, HDR needs those bright highlights alongside dark shadows in the same scene, yeah?
Precisely. Think about a movie with like a dark alley scene, but with bright streetlights, or maybe sparks flying. QLED has the power, the brightness headroom, to make those highlights incredibly bright and distinct, right next to the deep blacks. CUHD. It tries, but it often can't hit those really intense peaks, so the HDR effect feels a bit muted, less dramatic contrast.
Okay, and QLED sounds like the clear winner on paper, but maybe CUHD isn't bad. Where do they overlap? The sources must mention some common ground.
Oh, absolutely. They share quite a bit, actually. A big one is the operating system. Both run Samsung's Tizen Smart platform. So the whole user interface, the apps you can get, Netflix, YouTube, all that, it's identical. Voice control, too. How you use the TV day-to-day outside of picture settings feels the same.
Okay, that's good to know. What about gaming? Big topic. Is QLED way better there, too?
For most people, probably not a game changer, excuse the pun. Both TVs have a game mode, which lowers input lag, and their response times are generally decent for casual gaming. Where QLED wins again is visually. Those richer colors, better handling of shadows. It makes games look more immersive, especially darker ones.
Yeah.
But in terms of raw responsiveness for, say, a non-pro gamer, both are pretty solid.
All right, so same smarts, decent gaming on both, but QLED pulls ahead clearly on color and brightness, which brings us inevitably back to money. What did the sources say about the price difference? Because it feels significant.
It is significant. That's the main trade-off you're making. You have to ask if that extra color pop and peak brightness is worth, well, often paying double.
Double. Wow. Okay, the sources had examples, right? Like a 55-inch size.
Yeah, typical numbers were around, say, $600 for a 55-inch Crystal UHD, a really solid 4K picture for that price. But the equivalent 55-inch QLED, you're looking at $1,200, maybe more depending on the specific model year and features. It's a serious jump.
Literally twice the price for quantum dots.
Okay.
And quickly, energy use. Does one sip power more than the other?
Yes, UHD is slightly more energy efficient. QLED needs more power to drive that higher brightness. The difference might be something like, I don't know, maybe $20 a year on your electricity bill. Probably not the deciding factor for most, but it's there. So if we boil it all down, the recommendation kind of writes itself based on the sources. Go for Crystal UHD if your main goal is getting that 4K resolution without spending a fortune, especially if you mostly watch in dimmer rooms. But pick QLED if you're really into movies, especially HDR content, or if your TV's in a bright space, or you just want the best possible picture quality Samsung offers in that category, and budget isn't the primary concern.
Right. So, the final thought for you listening is this. Think beyond the tech specs for a second. How often will you actually benefit from that peak HDR brightness or that extra color volume? Does your viewing, maybe streaming comedies at night in a dark room, really justify paying double? Or are you constantly battling glare watching daytime sports? Matching the tech to your real habits, that's the key before you spend the cash.